I did play in a campaign once with someone who always, allegedly, for every session had all of the spells prepared,
Oh yeah, they were
which
always
was
prepared. Yeah.
very convenient for their character.
That sounds like a cheat.
Yeah, it was him and a few of his brothers. It was a lot of fun. Rolls always passed, and one of them always had spells prepared.
Okay, brain just went off on a tangent. Something else. I was watching a YouTube video, and the individual had said about making a session where it is a cheater's session. So you try to get away with everything and anything you could, and if the DM didn't catch it, then it would become the next, like in the next session, it was part of your character, but the DM could do it as well. I don't know why. I just thought about that. I don't just that.
Well, I mean, how do we know DMs don't cheat?
Well, they do, but this time they'd be like, oh, they try
We
to
don't see
sneak
their
something in.
rolls.
Well, and the whole point of it, because I'm terrible, I don't take notes. I don't know if anyone knows this. I don't take notes.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
Well, what was the name of your sword? Also, shameless plug for our campaign.
Something quill.
Karazik?
I hated that thing. I hated it. God, I'm so glad it was gone.
You don't
it's
take
not
notes.
Gone. Huh?
You don't take notes.
I don't take notes. So because most of my characters are
aloof.
Yes. Even the ones that aren't, even though no, Vesperian did take notes. I don't know why Vesperian
for the one shot you took notes,
because Vesperian is very astute. He is a sage. He knows, so he needs to kind of know things. And I figured that I was hoping that would become something. Like I'm going to try to continue to use that character because he's like,
I'm not going to try to use that in like other characters.
No.
Use it for
just for one shot.
I'm going to pay attention.
But if you think about the laughs that we had from the fact that I couldn't remember something, and I genuinely, the best part is I genuinely didn't remember. And I was like, no, there's no way. There was no name. It didn't have a name. Yeah, of course, everyone remembered it was Crassiquill or whatever the heck we said it was.
I saw a meme online that was like, the person that takes notes during the session, and it was a notebook that had a sketch, a little drawing, something that said, maybe this guy's bad. Should we go look for this person? I don't know, and like 3 names, and that was it.
But I think every D&D party needs that person.
Oh, 100%.
Because outside of when you don't have that person, no one knows what's going on.
Oh, it turns
the DM
is chaos.
So annoyed with you.
Well, yeah, and campaigns can easily last 1, 2, even 3 years. So there's a lot of notes that you might need to organize. I take notes, but they're based off of my character's point of view.
Yeah.
Things that Philomena needs to know, and there's a certain way I organize them in my notebook.
Interesting. I think also part of the reason I don't take notes is like most of my characters are in some way an extension or a part of my personality in some way. I know that sounds a little bit crazy.
They're part of your. They're like you.
Oh
no,
just slightly.
No,
just maybe just worse versions of me. But no, because I can't do notes. Like if I have to take notes on something, I lose interest so quickly, and all of a sudden I'm writing, and they're 10 sentences past where I was. I'm like, so yeah.
It breaks your concentration.
It does. It ruins my immersion.
It is hard when you're in the moment to be in the moment as your character, and then on the other side, step away and be the person sitting at the table trying to take notes to remember things.
And think about it too. And this is kind of now thinking, if you were an actual adventurer out on a thing and you're like, say for instance, Ash, you grew up in a village, you barely know how to read, that characters mean something, and you're like, oh, I think that means that. Are you going to be like studiously like, ooh, he just said that this is Baron Van,
No, I mean, but even with that being said, for your character, he may not be literate. I think you would probably remember things better than a lot of other people would be because you cannot write. So in your memory as a character, you might 6 sessions from now be in a situation where you're like, my character would remember this because of how he grew up. Like this in his mind would have stood out to him. Like me for my character as Philomena, there are a lot of things that I probably wouldn't remember, but for her, it's important to remember when she gives someone a little token or a pebble for a certain reason. Like I'm going to remember that a year from now, I gave a character that we met in a cheese shop a little rock so that we'd always have that connection and remember each other. But I might not remember other things that happen in each of our sessions.
And I know people in real life that have like pieces of paper in their purse and it's folded up 17,000 times and it has just little things.
I wonder
about-
who that is.
So, I mean, there are people that are taking notes in any aspect of their lives. So, I mean, it works if it works, right? But like on that thought, I just want to welcome you guys both and to our listeners to the first podcast for Legends of the Tabletop and our Parking LOTT Podcast. So
We're
welcome.
doing a podcast?
Yeah, I guess so.
We're recording?
Yeah.
I just thought we're casually sitting around our table.
I know.
With headphones on and mics and sitting in front of us.
I guess they should pull up and listen in.
Yeah,
Grab
absolutely.
a pint, coffee, whatever
Yeah.
it is. Welcome to Legends of the Tabletop, everyone. Parking Lot. This is our very first episode here.
All right. So what do we want to talk about?
I don't know. Now I'm stressed out.
This was casual. Now,
I know.
not
I
so
know. That
much.
was actually just us talking about characters. Wasn't even. Yeah. So.
Yeah. So, I mean, let's talk about what Legends of the Tabletop is doing with a podcast. I mean, we already have a live play campaign that we air on YouTube every other Monday.
On the YouTube.
On the YouTube.
On
Yeah,
the YouTube,
absolutely.
on the
Yeah.
internets.
On the internets, you can find us on the
You can
Instagram.
find us on YouTube, everybody.
Swell.
Mm.
So yeah, but this is going to be a little bit different because we have 7 members that sit on the table, but not always going to be on the podcast all at one time. So
I was to say we have 6 that sit on the table, and then we have God
that's true.
that pulls the strings, the
The
puppet master.
Dungeon
That's true.
Master.
Yes.
We have 6 players and God.
Yes. Yes. That's how we refer to our DM. He likes it that way.
I think most DMs might kind of
Yeah.
prefer this.
In
Ease
and
their
out of.
ego.
We have a DM sitting amongst us right now.
Yes, I know.
What do you prefer? What is your preference?
No, so I was once doing this
Let's take down the brass tacks here.
this role playing game. It was a Star Wars one, and one of my player characters called me God the entire time. And I'm going to tell you, it was pretty good. It was pretty good.
Mhm.
I'm God. I'm like, yeah, that's me.
Yep. His
That
ego
was-
couldn't fit through the door.
That was a good session.
But yeah, so like, what can we expect from a podcast from Legends of the Tabletop? I mean, what I'm gonna say is, I expect to have every single member of LOTT in here,
Yeah. Yeah.
in and out, so that we can hear the thoughts and opinions of all of the members and not just myself.
No, I think that would be good. And I think we're probably going to hear some hot takes on some things that have
Mhm.
happened on the table.
No spoilers.
Maybe spoilers could be, depending on if you've watched. So we're going to try not to spoil anything before it comes out. But yeah, I figure there's going to be some interesting people's feelings about how things have transpired so far, and where they think we're going.
So for those of you who have not watched, who's sitting around the table today, so people know,
Oh,
who are we?
Oh yeah,
Who
you can
who-
start.
Who are we and who do we play? This is a shameless plug for our current campaign 1.
oh,
So my name is Sarah and I play Philomena Merriweather.
What is Philomena? What's a Philomena Merriweather?
So Philomena Merriweather is a tiny, tiny little character. She's a halfling druid. She wears a red scarf and has long, wavy hair, dark eyes. She's tiny, but she's fierce. She likes to wild shape. She comes from a very large family in a little tiny village. And this is her first adventure.
don't forget about Little Mouse.
And that might be a spoiler, Brandon.
Oh, sorry.
She has a satchel. She likes pocket cheese,
Yeah.
dried meats, and she may or may not carry a little tiny rodent in that satchel. She likes to commandeer lots of little trinkets in her adventures. But that is who I am.
Cool.
I am Ashen Whisperclaw, and I play Brandon. Oh, wait, no. I'm Brandon, and I play Ashen Whisperclaw. So Ash is a tabaxi. He is quite an interesting character. As we said before, he's kind of aloof.
What class is he?
Oh, he is a ranged fighter, and maybe he multi-classes later on, but you got to watch to see. And he is the most fantastic archer, the best in the world.
No
maybe,
spoilers.
maybe a little friendly fire once in a while, but these were fun. Um, no, so he's he's very kind of eccentric. He likes trinkets. He likes shiny things, even though God does not let him have shiny things. He's very sad about that. Um, but no, he's silver or dark gray tabaxi, gold eyes, and he's just very playful and very um eccentric is the best way I can think to describe it. I can't think of any other way. And he is best archer in all of our realm.
In all of the 6 people you travel with.
In the county, in
Yes.
the county he comes from.
Yes, very much. So. I best. Well, and also tabaxis are usually hand-to-hand fighters, right? They are known for being that, or like monks or other things. And his village, that's what they were. So he is a departure from that. Just a little history that maybe isn't known. I don't remember if we talk about that early on or if that's even brought up. But so he's simple, but an interesting character, fun to play. Not so fun to roll with.
And is vastly taller than
Oh,
Philomena's Ghostwise half.
Yes. She has ridden on his shoulder many times, and he has enjoyed the smell of fresh little rodent.
She smells like adventure.
Very much so. But yeah.
Awesome.
What about you, Joe Nathan?
So yeah, I mean, I'm Jonathan, and I play probably like the good-looking person on the table.
I don't know about that.
I mean, you got Braddock.
I'm pretty sure that I'm really.
I think Benrith and
beautiful.
Philomena bring the clicks.
Yeah.
Come on.
I'm talking about not in real life.
Okay.
Right. I was gonna say
in character.
Oh, in character.
I don't know, Braddock.
I'm bringing the looks.
Braddock's got you running for your money, and
He
plus
is
when he's
beautiful.
playing that,
Braddock's got that mesh shirt.
But yeah, so I play Ren Barclay, who is a human cleric. She is sistered and partnered up with Willow Barclay, who also is on the table. But Ren is right now just, a girl out in a dangerous world and doesn't necessarily realize the world is as dangerous as it is because she's had more of a privileged life than most would have in their current situations. So she's having fun just being herself and getting to know everybody else.
You won't be able to see this visually, but as Jonathan's describing his character, he's slowly going into Ren's mannerisms.
That's so
as
creepy.
he's sitting at the table.
So creepy.
I mean, but so isn't that the thing with the role playing is like you step away from yourself for an hour, 2 or 5, and you just get comfortable in somebody else's skin.
Yeah, I think that's the beauty of role playing. I've mentioned this before. In fact, I think I mentioned it on a podcast Jonathan and I were on not that long ago, that part of the reason why I was so interested in Dungeons and Dragons when I was younger was watching one of my cousins play with his guy friends, sitting at around a table, and they were all young teenagers, and most of the time you think dudes at that age don't want to let down their guard, and they just want to be as masculine and tough as they can around each other. But for them just to let all their inhibitions down and pretend and be a character and laugh and joke and just be silly and be idiots, that really drew me into trying to find out more about what this Dungeons and Dragons was all about.
What do you? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, wow, that was deep. My thing is like I was gonna make a joke about it allows you to have multiple personalities. No one realizes that you actually have a mental problem.
I mean, that's true too.
Absolutely.
True too. Who knows?
Well, yeah, that just totally. I was like, oh wow, that's just that. I mean, so with me, I've ever since I was a little kid. I mean, I was weird when I was little. I'll admit that. I'm still weird.
We all are. That's why we play Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, but no, I just would do little voices and I'd play little characters. And when you're a little kid doing that, people are just like, what's wrong with this? So, and it just happens that you fall into this and you're like, oh, okay, I can play a character and, oh, I know I have a voice for them. And for the voice, I have a personality. And all of a sudden you're driving in the car to and from places and you're talking to yourself in that voice and like, oh, if in this situation, I will do this. And, it's just, I don't know. It's interesting. It is cool. I mean, you always have the characters, and it's fun jumping between them and just kind of being able to explore, I don't know, your range. In my mind, it's you're able to see the different like reactions you can do. And if you watch on the channel, you can see, most of us, if not all of us, when we're in character, we're actually like something happens and we're like, oh, what's going, like,
Mhm.
it's, you're not even thinking, like, you're not just acting for the camera. It's like when we've been playing not just on the channel, but we've been playing for a couple years now off,
Hmm.
and we do that stuff on the table when we're with everybody else. So it's kind of just naturally like flows into what we're doing now. And I think it's cool because we just immerse ourselves in the world, in the character. And um, I'd say it's definitely, um, I don't know, it's cool because,
I think you get to explore different facets of your own personality
yes.
every time
Mhm.
you create a character, right? Like, there's always a part of you that you might not so casually outwardly express when you're with people, but then if you get to create a character, you can really hone in on that maybe little idiosyncrasy that you have in your everyday life and make that a huge part of who your character is, or maybe something that you would like to do more of in real life,
Murder hobo.
like, or hang out with animals all the time.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's true. Oh yeah, yeah, that
That
does
checks
track.
out for me, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it does.
it really does.
Oh, so, but no, it is. It's definitely been, and I've only been playing D&D for what, 2 years, 3 years?
We're in 2025, so I'd say 3. Yeah.
Yeah, 3 years. So, and I was kind of, I'm not gonna play D&D. That's for nerds. I'm like, oh, I am a nerd.
Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
wait, I love this.
Yeah,
I
I'm like,
like
oh, I'm
this.
actually, yeah. So, I still like, I don't know about you guys, but I remember my first real character that I built. Like, that is, instantly you asked me, and I'm like, Balathor, right? Dragonborn, ridiculous, just over the top. And it's just like that character stands out. I
But
know I'm
why
kind of,
Balathor?
why the name Balathor, or
No,
why?
what was the class,
Oh,
and
oh,
why did that like excite you to play that for the first time? If that's your first character, what part of Brandon did you say, this is Brandon and I need to express this to everyone else?
oh.
Murder hobo.
So yes, yeah, he was a little, no, but he was
No,
very
he just good.
ridiculous. He was good. He was
This
Yeah.
is actually
paladin.
Brandon's therapy session.
Yes, yes. But no, he was it, yeah, there was a lot of stuff going on then, but it allowed me just to be fun and not think about things that were going on and be ridiculous and be over the top and not care. Balathor would fail miserably over and over again, and Balathor didn't care because Balathor was doing good. Balathor is, so actually that's not Balathor's voice. Bellathor was a little bit happier. But yeah, no, so it was cool. But it just, he was a paladin, a dragonborn paladin, and it was cool because when you first start in D&D, it can seem daunting,
Oh yeah,
especially
absolutely.
if you're going with spells or anything else. You just, all of a sudden, you have all this stuff in front of you, and you're like, I gotta, maybe I've got these sorcerer points, or I've got this I've got to deal with. So for me, I was like, all right, what did I normally play? Because I used to play Baldur's Gate. And actually, we talked about that before. And with that, it was easy to just drop into, okay, I'm used to a fighter, right? I'm used to running a fighter. So this is simple. I have a couple spells that I can use, the smites and other stuff. And it was like, all right, a nice introduction to kind of ease you into it and have you learn a couple abilities and not just be super basic like a barbarian or just like a normal fighter. And once you get into it and you get into that character, you get hooked. And
Hmm.
what about you guys? What were your
Yeah.
first characters?
What's your first, Sarah?
Oh, come on. My first character was a druid, obviously. That is one of my favorite to play. That was my first character, and I think I was just so excited to be asked, first of all, to play in this group because I had never actually played Dungeons and Dragons. It was during the pandemic, and Jonathan and I were asked to join a group of guys that have been lifelong friends and playing since they were pretty much in Pampers. And we were both newbies, and I was just pumped to play this druid and to learn all the little details and things that I could do, and wild shaping and how I could connect with animals and call on animals to protect us or to help us in a fight. I just thought that was so cool, and I was just really excited to obviously start rolling some dice and start on my little superstitions that I have about my dice.
So what's one die superstition you have?
Oh, you have to charge your dice. Like
What's so people
Oh
that
yeah,
don't
yeah.
know what's
Explain
charging?
charging.
you plug them into an outlet, obviously.
They glow.
They
Big
glow.
mouth.
Well, sometimes they do. When I charge my dice, I just make sure I put all of the dice with the highest number facing up. So if you have a D20, you put the D up or the 20 up. Sorry. Well, D up might be another thing. It's charging something else, I guess. So a 20 facing up, the 6 facing up, 4 facing up, and I that's how I leave them.
Okay.
For overnight,
Cool.
maybe under the moonlight as a druid, I don't know.
Oh.
And then day of, as when we're going to the campaign, I have a lot of dice, so I always roll them and see what rolls the best, what rolls the highest. If I have dice that are just not rolling well, they can remain in dice jail until another time.
Yeah. I retire
Before we
dice.
like get too far off, because I do want to go back to my first character, but Brandon, how many sets of dice do you have on the table when you play?
I have 3 sets of dice right now. I actually just purchased a 4th, which is going to be on our next session. So,
Do you use all 4 sets, or is there like a order of operations you're doing with that?
So, it's not quite the same as what Sarah does, but I will roll with one, and if it starts to roll, if I have consistently low rolls, I wouldn't call it a superstition, but I'm like,
You
I'm
rotate
switching
them out?
dice.
You're just a little stitious.
I rotate them out, and then most of the time I have them because usually one set of my dice seems to always roll better, and I don't know why, and maybe I am superstitious, but I will use that die, and then if I have to roll multiple d20s, I don't like to re-roll the same die. I like to roll them at the same time. Same with damage dice. I don't like to re-roll over and over again. I like to do it all at once. I don't know. That's just my kind of thing. But no, so I go through, but I do kind of do the same thing as you. And I didn't realize I was thinking about, like, I like to set them up. And I think it's more my OCD. I have my tablet set up in front of me, and my tablet has notches in it. So I put them between the notches, and I have them lined up from the D20 down, also because if I have to try to figure out which one's a D6, I'm not going to be able to figure it out between the
sides.
I'm like, I don't know which one's the D6. No, I do. I like, especially the D10 or whatever. I put them in order from the largest dice down, and then I will just use one set. And then when that set starts to roll badly, I switch. And when that roll sets badly, I switch. And then when that one does, I give up, and I just realize that I'm just having a bad day.
You also don't like to roll in the dice tray.
No, I don't. Yeah, dice trays are jinxed. They are devil's work.
Okay.
I'm just saying. I didn't roll in the dice tray 2 sessions ago, and I didn't
You
even
had good rolls.
Oh yeah, no, the DM hated me because I was just like, that hits. He's like, thanks for letting me breathe.
And then the dice tray comes out, and
it's just like 2, 3, 2. No, dice trays are evil. They are the devil. They are from Beelzebub. I'm not using them.
How many set do you have?
Oh my! How many should I say?
I want to know.
She's like
you
a
have like a
crack
bag, right? You have
a bag.
You have like a coffee bag, is it?
It's a bag of holding, by the way.
It quite literally is a bag of holding. I do. I have a coffee bag, and I actually have a donut that I put. Shout out to
I was just gonna say
Dodeca Donuts. Check them
Double
out.
D's.
Double D's. Dodeca Donuts.
That's triple D.
It is.
Dodeca donut.
Oh, that's the best kind of D's.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Sorry, Dodeca Donuts. We do love you. Yeah. So I have a coffee bag from Dodeca Donuts that is full, not as full as I would like it to be. I don't know how many sets I have.
You
at this
don't
point.
know how many set of dice you have.
You've got at least 5 or 6.
There's probably more than 5 or 6 sets. So I have my first set of dice that I think, Jonathan, you gave me. I have those. I have another set that is like based off of a 1980s kind of arcade game, and it has like the little Pac-Man-esque characters inside the clear dice. I have a lot of different sets of dice. I'm always looking to add more to my set, and I think I've bought dice for different characters as well. Like if I'm going into a campaign and I've created a new character, I played a rogue once, so I bought a really cool set of dice that were like silver and black. I felt like that was very roguish for my character. For this character, I bought a set that was a little more light, fun, pretty, because she's a cute little girl. I would say I have probably 10 sets of dice, and my setup in front of me at the table is quite elaborate. I have my bag. I lay out certain sets, I roll them. I have, the donut. As my character, I put out extra D6s because I know I'm going to need them. I put extra D4s. So there's a little bit of a method to my madness, but I do have a lot of sets. I'm not going to disclose how many.
Okay, so I'm going to answer 2 questions at once. My first character was a Bendigo. Surprise, surprise. He was a bard. He was awesome. I think I spent more time hitting on the DM than I did playing any part of the game. So just be like, is there a bar wench? I'd like to speak with her. And then it'd be like, there's just like some random NPC. And I'd be like, hey, how you doing?
Mm-hmm.
And then we'd get into a fight and I'd be like, can I kind of convince them not to kill us?
You were like the Barney Stinson of
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was super amazing and fun to play something that I'm brand new at the game, so I'm like really not sure what I'm doing, but I picked a bard because it was like jack of all trades or kind of okay at everything. And I thought, oh, that's kind of cool. Like I can be okay at everything instead of great at something. And then I tried to do everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then I realized that everyone else is better at the things that they specialize at. And I'm just there like kind of hitting, but not really. But I still had a fantastic time playing the bard, and I would play a bard again in a heartbeat.
That's you.
Yeah, I think like trying to be charismatic and trying to get along with people is my
Flirtatious,
strength.
charismatic.
Yeah, but I've been healing for so long now as well that I'm comfortable with that as well. And then for number of sets of dice, I only have 3 sets of dice.
You only have 3?
And it's very specific.
I have more dice than he does.
I roll with 1 set. I do advantage, so I have like the extra D20 and then all of the accompanying dice, just so when I roll advantage. And then my 3rd set is if it's important. So like I feel like I have a set that's like
he has the loaded dice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's the one that has 2 19s and 2
He's
20s.
put a little piece of lead on the bottom of it, like dug it in
How
right
do they
there.
float in water.
Interestingly, that's how they float. But I don't I don't want a bunch of set of dice. But if you need to, because you're like casting spells, and you're like, oh, I need 6D somethings, then I kind of steal from the person next to me. But only 3 set. And they're all very similar. They're all like they're all black. I think one's black with white lettering, one's black with gold lettering, and then one's like translucent gray
Like your
with
soul.
white lettering.
Like your soul.
But I completely understand like buying a set for each character you
Absolutely.
play, because each character is like a different feel.
Mm-hmm.
And I already know what kind of set I might want in the future.
Yeah.
If, we do a second campaign. I kind of already have an idea of a character I want. And the dice.
I will say the set I just bought is perfect for Vesperian.
Oh.
So you bought them on with a thought in mind, or you just said I like these?
I saw something online and I was like, ooh.
Those ones on your table?
No.
Oh.
No. So okay, so
He's hiding them in his coin.
No, they haven't come in yet. But so some of my characters, so I've played a wide range of characters. I've played super goody two shoes all the way up to just absolute psychopaths like Gareth, who Gareth was bad. And Vesperian.
Mm-hmm.
So this is definitely on the darker side of dice. So when you guys see it, I'm going to use it with Ash. I don't think it quite fits him, but it would definitely fit Vesperian. So
I love that we've like designated dice to fitting characters. So I can't roll with these dice. These are my jolly dice.
These will be the dark dice where it's like you need to hit and you need to kill.
Well, even for the one shot that we did, Novamir, on our YouTube channel, subscribe, like, share, ring the bell. There's part 1 and part 2.
For notifications. Yeah.
Jonathan was the DM. Even for that one shot that we did, my character Genevieve was quite I would say dark character, but there was a certain set of dice that I brought out just for that character. I was not using the dice that I used for Philomena on our campaign for the one shot.
I will say this, as when I DM,
it was a vibe.
I have a bag of dice.
Well, I think you have to, don't you?
And so
wait, but that means you have more than 3 sets.
I only have 3 sets on the table when I'm playing. I have
wait.
in my
So
possession.
that's where our
I
savings is going.
probably have 10 sets.
What?
Yeah.
You said you have 10 sets. No, you're judging.
I
You're
don't know.
judging.
He had time. I'm
Yeah.
Wow. So
But
it's
it's only
okay
when I
for you
DM.
to.
When I DM, I have several sets. And like sometimes I will say to my players, what set do you want me to roll against you? Because then it's like on them. I'm like, oh, listen, you picked those dice, so it's
blame
your
the
fault.
players for the DM's shadiness.
What are your to stick on dice? I know we're kind of off the topic of what we were talking about.
No, this is the
What
topic.
is your preference? So, like, I've known people that they're like, "Oh, I've got to have the metal dice."
No.
I don't like them.
I don't like
hate
metal
them.
dice.
It's too chunky, and not to mention it chips the table. Don't like that.
Mhm.
But no, like,
Oh, dice trays.
Yeah, dice trays are at work.
you
They're
know what? You bleep this. Dice trays. You know what you can do?
Button?
Yeah.
They probably do.
Yeah, it's on there somewhere. You know, the funny thing is, the only dice tray that I will use,
There you go.
there we
Go
go,
ahead, say it, Brendan.
will be a dice tray. No, when we finally have the store up and going, we'll be Legends of the Tabletop dice trays. I'm just saying.
Well, I mean, I think that's why you should start watching our campaign, because there's a lot of things you may see on the table that eventually might be available to our viewers.
I think
Cheese
that's-
bag.
Start asking for it, like
You
in the
need to start
comments.
in the
Yeah.
comments.
Hey, how do I get a dice tray
Shameless,
like that?
shameless plug. Or I can
As,
also.
as Zach always says, sound off in the comments. If
Yes.
you see us wearing or using something, mention it in the comments. Drop it in the comments. Tell us you want the things that you see.
But I do hate dice trays.
I know.
They're an
Like you were saying.
abomination.
You don't like metal dice.
Metal dice.
I don't like metal dice. I do like, but I don't like dice that are too, so I don't like it too heavy, but I also don't like them too light. So I have one that's similar to your sparkly one. Remember, we realized that we both had something from
They're
the
very
same company.
pointy. They're very pointy.
They're very pointy, but they're also very light
Yeah.
compared to my normal dice. There's a very big difference, and I just don't feel it
You
rolls
don't
as well.
feel it in your hand. Like it's not that tactile.
Yeah, and it just like you're rolling it, and it just doesn't have that same feel. It doesn't bounce the same way on the table. It just kind of,
Yeah.
it's like a feather hitting the table.
I knew mine were light because I had tested them out when I purchased them, but I bought them for the reason of my character being very small and light herself, and I wanted something that
Oh.
kind of felt like something she would hold and use. But I don't like metal dice either. They're way too clunky. I don't like the way they feel in my hand. I don't feel like they roll the same as dice that are lighter. I need to have a certain kind of weight to them.
Yeah. What about you, John?
Yeah, I remember when I first got into dice, I was like, oh, I got to get a set of metal dice because that sounds awesome.
You have a really
And
nice set of metal dice.
I went and spent the money and bought a set, and then I was like,
You never use them.
no, they literally never hit the table. They are in a cabinet,
In the studio.
collecting dust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe when we finally, if we ever record here, we can have some stuff displayed in the background.
Put some stuff up at the studio on
Yeah.
our shelves.
Yeah.
Yeah, the PAX D4.
Oh, that's the dice. See, that's another thing that I put on the table.
Oh, I know,
s-
and it didn't show up on camera really.
I'm slowly starting to like just put more things in my space. Poor Zach. I sit between Alex, the DM, and Zach, who plays Benwith Farrow, and I'm collecting more and more items. And I did win a D4 at PAX U this year. I was really excited. We were online waiting for a panel. And I won a massive, huge official PAX D4 that sits on the table with me. I have rolled it.
Yeah.
I have rolled it in the campaign.
Actually, yeah, didn't you get a 4 on it?
I got a 4 on it.
That's right. Oh, yeah, because it says PAX.
Absolutely.
PAX is the 4.
Shout
So
out to
I mean, we don't
PAX.
have to. We can go off of topic because I think this is a good thing to ask. Is you're talking about your space, and each player creates their own space on the table. Some people like clutter. Some people like organization. Some people like a lot of tchotchkes. I'm going to ask each of you, like, what is
spell
your
tchotchke?
what is your
What is
your space look like on the table?
Sterile.
Yeah.
I like it very, like, you'll see I have a tablet. All my stuff is in that. If there's anything I need to look up, I'm on my phone. And my dice are organized very neatly. I will say the person next to me stresses me out because it's a little bit disorganized.
Is it? Okay.
Yes. But no, so it's very, I like it that if something happens, like as soon as I finish rolling my dice, they end up back in order. They're in a row. They're back. They're aligned by the color, and because I have 2 dice that are kind of similar, so you know,
Keep
line
your
them up.
colors separated.
Yeah, hey man, you
Gotta keep 'em
gotta keep
separated.
separated. Bow, 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 bow. Sorry. But yeah, no, I keep it very neat. I don't like clutter. Even when I run larger characters, you know, everything is on a sheet, everything is super organized, all, you know, there. I just can't. I don't know. I feel like it takes away from me playing the character if I'm fumbling. Unless it's supposed to be on my character, then I'll do that. But yeah, no, I can't do all the little odds and ends and everything on the table.
My space is probably the complete opposite of how my life is. I it is not sterile. It is an organized chaos, and like Brandon said, after I roll, my dice go back in a certain order, highest numbers up. But I have
But you have
lot.
things,
I
right?
have
You have
Oh yeah.
you have
things.
items
I
everywhere.
Yeah.
do.
And papers and
I have my tablet. I have my actual paper, my character sheet. I have my notebook that is leather to match Philomena's satchel. I have a red, like silken scarf because Philomena, the character, wears a red silk scarf.
Uh-huh.
So I have that with me. I have my PAX dice. I have my bag of holding. I have my donut. I do have a lot of things.
Yeah.
It's a lot. And then Zach sits next to me, and he has his tablet. We share a dice tray, and he has his dice and his notebook, and that's it.
his Stein. Don't forget the
And
Stein.
Stein. You gotta have, and we have Steins. Yeah.
Mhm.
Zach has one for Ben. I have one for Philomena. There's a lot. There's a lot on the table.
I need to get something for Ash.
Like a little catnip, maybe.
Yeah. A
little fuzzy ball.
I'm not a huge fan of
Like the Will Ferrell
electronics
SNL thing.
on the table, so I think I love
Jonathan-
having my
John's a
physical piece of
purist.
paper
Mhm.
that has my character sheet, and I have, you know, physical cards for the spells that I can cast, and I have a pencil. I was gonna say a pen. I have a pencil and a sheet of paper to write on, and my dice, and outside of that, I'm good to go.
Does anyone use pens on the table?
Oh, that's
I would not
thin.
allow a pen to be on the
I
table.
don't
No.
think you can. I think my very first campaign, I used a pen, and the dudes that I was sitting with all looked at me like I was completely out of my mind, and I didn't know why. But it's like, come on, you have to erase and rewrite things 10,000 times. But anyway, sorry.
There is one person that played on our table that used a pen.
Oh yeah,
And
at a home game. Home game.
No, and looking at his sheet and his papers and
Yeah.
everything else was like,
Because you have to cross it out.
oh, it's scribbles, and
Yeah.
like he never knew what he had or what anything was, and it was so disorganized. Like looking at it would literally stress me
Yeah.
out. I was like, I can't do this. But I actually am kind of with John. Before this campaign, everything I did was on paper.
Mhm.
And I actually have when I would make a character, if it was something new, it was like, okay, I'm going and buying the cards. I'm gonna have physical cards, I'm gonna have all this. And I mean, I like it. It works out well. Actually, the only reason with Vesperian that I switched with that was because I was away and I couldn't
Mhm.
I didn't have a printer. So I had to make a character when I was, away, which when you don't have, I need the book in front of me too. Like I like having the paper book. I like actually doing that. I don't like having to switch screens and stuff. So I guess I'm kind of old fashioned, but
Mhm.
I'm dealing with it right now with the campaign because I don't want the clutter.
My
Yeah.
first character was paper. I didn't use my tablet when I did the first campaign I was in. Everything was on paper. Now I have my character sheet, and I forgot I also have my folder with the yawning portal
Yeah.
on
Ooh.
it, which
I-
has my character cards.
One of the reasons I love paper is because I feel like if you have to actually do the steps to create a character, it's more real and it sinks in a little bit better for you. I know there's a lot of websites out there that say, do you want to be proficient in this? And it just clicks all the buttons for you.
Mm.
And you didn't have to learn where it is or why you have it. So I think when I create a character, I like it on paper because it forces me to say, even though I know how to play the game, every time I have to go through those steps again.
So when I say that I'm on a device, it's actually an editable PDF,
Mhm.
and I wrote everything in.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, I have a Google Doc that I use that is kind
Yeah.
of like my cheat sheet.
Well, so and something I don't like, and we're kind of going off topic, is yes, you have
It's all the topic of D&D.
True.
Yeah.
Okay, so not off topic. So you go on these websites. I'm not going to say the different websites, but there are all these different websites. They have, you just, like you said, click a button and
ESPN.com.
does this. Exactly.
ESPN Deportes.
And it's like, okay,
Yocho.
you can only do these certain races and you can only do these certain things unless you pay.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, no. And even then, they still don't give you the options, because with D&D, there are so many different variants and there's different books for different things. So for some of the things, you can pick different rule sets. So like, okay, like for instance, I remember with Balathor, depending on which book you read, his thing was either a straight line
weapon
or it was a cone.
Yeah.
And like,
and scalable.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, you were given more options to build a character, and I don't know, again, I like reading through, and just doing it. Like when you're just clicking off, you lose, I don't know, you lose connection with the character because you're not necessarily building, especially if you're not starting out at level 1. If you're building something like with our one shot, we're level 7.
Straight to 7.
Yeah. So with that, you kind of were able to think a little bit more about, all right, why am I taking this? What got me to here? How did I do this? And if you're just clicking buttons,
Speaking of clicking buttons, do you remember one of the players on
Clicking
the table
the subscribe button?
clicked their death roll as an electronic roll?
And he failed.
He got a nat 1 and failed 2 of them.
Yeah. Nope. With that, I am rolling the dice right there, and it's not going in a tray.
Alex did it.
Yeah. Craddock. Yeah, he almost died. He tried dying. He wanted to die. He's like, I want to die. I want to do it. And I'm like, no. Oh, that's with the tentacles, wasn't it?
I don't remember.
I thought that was the tentacle.
It was the one where...
Wait, which tentacle one?
Benrith got really annoyed because once we went out of combat, it was, does he still have to roll death saves?
Oh, yeah.
That was early.
That was like episode 3, 4, maybe?
Yeah, it's early.
Yeah.
And that's why I didn't want him to die.
Too early to die in a campaign.
So there are, like, Brandon, you and I play online. Do you like rolling dice electronically?
No, and I'm not going to say what the site is, and I already knew exactly where you were going. How many times have we had it? Like, for instance, you had 7 or 8 rolls in a row that were like a 1 or something like that.
There were 2.
So two. So and his character at the time had an ability where they couldn't roll a 1.
Yep.
So he kept rolling 2s, and I'm like, this is BS. I'm like, there's no way. We've seen it so many times where you'll roll something and then the next person will roll, or you do 2 consecutive rolls and they'll be exactly the same, and it'll be multiple times. So I am not a big fan of the algorithm because algorithms are easily messed up. I prefer the actual chance of a real roll. I mean, when you're playing online, you don't. Yeah, I get it's easier, and if that's what you have to do, okay, but I don't like it. I genuinely don't like it. It feels very broken. And yeah, I just
I mean, I think that's part of the experience, right?
Yeah.
D&D has been around for 50 years at this point.
Yep.
Yeah.
And originally no one had these electronics.
No.
And I think that's all part of the experience and your immersion. And it's just I think it should be different than our everyday life. And I think there's something really special about writing things on paper and actually using a pencil and physically holding the dice and writing things out and using your brain in the way it was intended to create these moments with your friends. I think that's something that's really special. It's different from our everyday life where everything's electronic, everything's instant. Artificial intelligence writes things out for wow, I cannot speak today. Let me start over.
Let's get ChatGPT to finish that for you.
It might be better. Writes things out for you. It's just very different than our everyday life. And I think that's part of the special time and space that you have with your friends when you're playing Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, I don't think anything feels better than rolling 2d20s, and you're holding that feeling for like 3 to 5 seconds of getting
Come
that
on,
momentum
come
going.
on.
It's amazing.
It's not as exciting when you
Or
electronically
just
roll a
hit
Yeah.
d20.
roll with advantage,
No.
and it
Yeah.
No, I like the odds are the
populates two
same. The
numbers.
odds mathematically are the same, but there's something so freaking
Yeah.
special, and you get so excited. Like in the
The
last,
tactileness of
the, the last, the
2ds.
last session that we did for our campaign, I rolled 2 d20s. That was amazing. I wouldn't have
Yeah,
been
never
nearly as
happens.
excited if I did that and I was looking at a monitor.
Mhm.
You know, the funny thing is, one of my favorite things about D&D is not actually the successes, it's the
Yeah.
failures. And I mean, it's some of the, like I said, some of the best laughs we've had on the table in front of you guys
Oh,
that
undoubtedly.
watch have been because of the failures in our games that we've played off screen. Again, some of the best moments have been where it's like you're gonna do this thing and
I
it's
get
like,
so pumped
yeah,
up.
and you roll and it's that one. And then depending on your DM, sometimes the percentile roll afterwards is even more, because now the stakes are even higher. How ridiculous is it going to be? You know, are you going to be hearing music? Or are you going to turn into a potted plant? Or
Yeah.
you know, are you going to fireballing the stinking room? The session we did off.
Please explain. I mean,
Okay.
I remember, but for
Okay,
those that
so
don't-
this popped into my head. So we're playing again. This is before we had the channel. This is just when we were playing just
home games.
home game, and I don't remember exactly what happened, but our one guy, he had wild magic, and he would just do the dumbest. I mean, the dumbest stuff, which a lot of times was funny. And he and another guy went off to do something, and it was you. Who was it? It was so the two went off, and then two of us stayed at the bar, and we're just like, you guys have fun. We're gonna drink. So they go in, and they're trying to defeat this boss, not even a boss, the town mayor. and literally, I think it was like the first stinking spell he does, he has to roll wild magic. And wouldn't you guess? And they're in a small room. Wouldn't you guess? He rolls, and then he rolls whatever you needed for the percentile for a fireball, and they both go down. We're not there. We can't bring them back. They are both down. And it was absolutely epic. Like, just, you know, the two guys that went down didn't find it funny, but the rest of us on the table were just dying. And it's those moments where in real life, because you're saying, you know, you it's something different from real life. In real life, your failures, most of the time you're not laughing at your failures. Your
Yeah.
failures are bringing you down. But in this, it's fun to fail. It's fun for it not to go the way you want, because it opens up all these crazy opportunities where all of a sudden, you know, I don't know, you've got different characters involved, or you have weird things happen, and it's like now all of a sudden, as a group, a lot of times you now have to figure out how to fix this.
Yeah.
And it's just, and that for me is what's enjoyable, is just how badly you can fail, and it's just funny, it's enjoyable, it makes
So
great
stressful.
moments.
Yeah.
I mean, it
Yeah.
is so stressful sitting on the table and, you know, you roll for initiative and you might be really low in the list.
Yes.
And in your mind, you're like, okay, when it gets to my character, this is what I'm going to do, and it's going to be epic, and I'm going to help out in this fight, and I'm going to cast this or whatever it is, and then you roll, and it's like, and that's a 7 with my modifier.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And your modifier is a +9.
that did not work out. I mean, it's happened to me. Right? I turn into an ape, and I'm like, oh right, like let's do this. And then it's a really horrible role, and it's hysterical. I mean, it's defeating, but it's hilarious. And like you said, Brandon, and that's part of the reason why people like playing Dungeons and Dragons, because in real life, when something does not work in your favor and it just you fail miserably, it's not nearly as funny as it is when you're playing around a table with your friends
Yeah.
in some alternate reality.
And I think D&D is not a game that is based on winning or losing.
No.
It's based on telling a story.
Yeah.
And so when you're
Yeah.
telling a story, you do need conflict. You
Yeah.
do need failures, because the failures make the successes feel even more epic.
I mean, those are in real life, you know, those are the stories that we enjoy listening to the most, right? When we're sitting down talking to someone who might be considerably older than us, and they're telling us their life story and adventures, the parts that really hit us and the reason why we are so intrigued by what they're telling us is not just because of the wins,
Mhm.
it's because of the tragedy,
Struggle
the
together.
struggle and the
Yeah.
triumph, and that's what is most interesting about watching a campaign.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I was gonna say, I don't know about you guys, but when I talk to people about what's happening in the game, like, friends, and I'm like, oh, this happened. I'm not telling them about how, oh yeah, we put this big baddie down in like 3 rounds. No, I'm talking about how, Graddock got tentacled, or he did a backflip and he failed and went right into the water, or,
Yeah, that was
you know,
amazing.
or, Ash, shooting the arrow and it ricocheting, or, so it's funny. The things that you remember the most and stick out are those things. And it's like, it does, it makes it enjoyable. Um, and I think as a group now, like, you end up having, inside jokes as you're doing stuff at the
Mhm.
table. Like, people are, cracking jokes while you're doing something. Oh yeah, you're gonna really hit.
That's the beauty of it, and Jonathan will attest to this, but during the pandemic when everyone was kind of siloed into their own little spaces and lives, we started a campaign with my cousin and some of his friends, and that was totally an escape from reality and what was going on, and it was a moment for us to just be a group of people and have that sense of community
Mhm.
and connectivity with your friends. And you create these inside jokes that you say out in public and no one knows what you're talking about but the 6 or 7 of you.
Yeah.
And that's the really special one of the really special things about Dungeons and Dragons, and probably one of the reasons why it's lasted as long as it has.
Mm. And I was gonna say, on that, you talked about being a community. It is a community.
100%.
It's
Mhm.
funny. You will go out there, like, I'm running into random people, and I'm saying, oh, I need to get this, and they're like, oh, well, what do you need it for? And it's like, oh, well, we're doing this, and they're like, oh, cool. What are you recording? And it's
I
like,
need this Milwaukee toolbox. Why do you need a
yes.
Milwaukee toolbox? Oh, I'm putting miniatures in it.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, you play D. And then you guys start talking about characters. You have never met this person before in your life.
No, you're
You don't
connected.
even know their name,
Mhm.
and they're telling
You're
you
connected.
what their favorite character. Like, one of the first questions, what's your go-to character? What, like,
What's
are
your
you guys
go-to
playing a
class?
live session? Hey,
Yeah, it's the nerds, the geeks, the kids that may have not been cool
Mhm.
No,
in
I'm very
school.
cool.
Nah, I
I'm
don't know
sorry.
about that. I mean, Jonathan and I do this thing where we're like kind of under our breath, but we'll be at a store and we'll see someone, and you kind of get a vibe that they may have rolled some dice in their lifetime, and it'd be like, please roll for initiative,
Mhm.
Mhm.
like under your breath, like
Yeah.
what's your modifier?
I remember I was
Do you want to play Dungeons and Dragons?
yeah.
Yes, I do.
I was in a meeting, and
You took out dice
no.
and
So
told your manager to roll for initiative.
I said a comment. I just said, somebody said something that was an absolute just fail. And I was like, oh, somebody just rolled a nat one. And like there's like 20 people there, and probably 5 of the guys
Oh,
just
yeah.
looked at me, or like, oh, you play. And I
Yeah.
was like,
I said
yes.
something under my breath one time at work, probably not under my breath, out loud. And I work with a lot of graphic designers and videographers. And I mentioned something about, I don't know, rolling dice, or maybe it was like a nat 20 or something like that.
Mhm.
And I can't tell you how many people their eyes just lit up and they're like, "You know about dice? Do you
Mhm.
play Dungeons and Dragons?
Mm.
TTRPG, RPG,
Yeah. Yeah.
D&D?"
So, along the community thing, I went away. I went overseas, a place where you wouldn't even think anyone plays, tabletop games.
Tennessee.
Yes, indeed. No, but so I was, overseas. Most,
New Jersey.
yeah,
Yeah.
the air smelled about the same. Oh, but no, it was cool. Just when I went there, running into the community there, and it's how D&D is kind of enters you into a world of tabletop games, and most people that play D&D
Yeah.
also play other role playing,
Yeah.
or
Warhammer,
yeah,
Forte.
a
Yeah.
Mordenheim, or
Workboard.
or Dead by Lead.
Oh.
Shameless plug.
Oh, shameless plug.
Huh? Or what was it? What's the other one?
Bloody Hollow.
Bloody Hollow. Yes.
2025. So this year.
Yes. What's the game studio again?
A Lefty Studio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Check it out. But no, so it's funny
Shout out
because
to Greg.
yeah, you start getting into it, and all of a sudden it's It's like a gateway drug. It just all of a sudden you get hooked, and it's like, hey, I can roll other dice. There's other versions of this. I mean, think about it. We got into Hero Quest. Hero Quest has been a blast, and it's not Dungeons and Dragons, but if I'm not
You're in
mistaken,
dungeons.
and I think Dungeons and Dragons came out first. So I don't know if you read that the Times magazine at all, but it was saying how a lot of the games that we like, we appreciate, we're
100%.
interested in,
Are all because of, I mean, if you, any movies that you watch at this
Yeah.
point in time, any movies, Jonathan and I watch a lot of movies and even TV shows. There's
Yeah.
so many things that relate back to Dungeons and Dragons. There's certain ways that they do things or set up characters or
Yeah.
have a character arc, and it's like, that's Dungeons and Dragons.
So it's so cool how so many people, and I didn't realize until I started playing a few years ago. So it's so much in our culture now. It's what used to be 20, 30 years ago was just a small, I would say small niche. Like you knew the people that played it, but you were like, now it's
Yeah,
mainstream.
I think social media has increased the amount of, connection that people have across the whole world with Dungeons and Dragons and the following that it has. I think it was always big, but I think more people are able to connect now
Right.
because of it.
Yeah.
And the community isn't it's not that it's small and it's not massive, but it's fairly big. And when you go to some of these conventions like PAX or like the one that we've gone to before for Mordheim, right?
Nemo.
Nemo.
Yeah.
Nemo, yeah,
Yep.
which is pretty cool.
It is really cool. You immediately connect with these people, and they're like, the weird misfits in your family, the cousin table at your family gathering that you go and hang out with and talk about all the other people in your family as if they're the weird ones and you're the normal ones. And they're so supportive, like genuinely supportive and encouraging, and want you to do well and want you to succeed in whatever version of Dungeons and Dragons or an RPG game you're playing. It's really a cool feeling to just walk into a convention center and almost immediately connect with all these people that you've never met before.
Yeah.
I kind of thinking about this made me just kind of think there are people, and maybe somebody who's listening to this, maybe you haven't gotten into D&D, maybe you've never played, and
Do you want to roll some dice? That's my question for
yeah,
you.
yeah, you want to roll some dice. But no, so and it's funny because I've asked a couple people like, hey, you should really try it. It's a lot of fun. You again, I say all these things that the community is great. You get to meet new people. You get to do new like just experience it. And most people are like, oh, well, I can't do voices or I can't do that.
You don't need to.
Exactly. You don't need just make a character, talk yourself, be yourself, just make yourself.
Or do a terrible voice.
Yeah.
I do one every other week on Monday. Do a terrible voice.
Shout out to Ren Barclay.
Oh
my God.
Oh my God, David.
But yeah, no, it's something I always hear, and I'm like, don't even worry about that. Just start. It doesn't matter if you can do a voice or something.
This isn't necessary at
No,
all.
not at all.
And I mean, we've talked about this before. Some individuals are fantastic, like phenomenal at knowing all of the mechanics of their character.
Yeah.
Other people aren't. I'm probably one of them. I show up, we do this. I will probably never know how to play Dungeons and Dragons correctly. I mean, I might be the Ashley of our table. I don't know. And she's been playing for over a decade.
Hey, it works.
She's still figuring
Way
things
over
out.
a decade, yeah.
Way over a decade.
Yeah.
And there's always those moments like, what do I roll? What and math. You have those moments.
Math is very difficult when it's on the spot.
Oh, there's so much pressure.
7 + 4 is
Carry the
really
one.
tricky.
See, what you just
Carry
have to
the one.
do is you just have to roll really quick and not let the DM be able to figure it out and tell them a number at the end. 37.
We played with someone that would roll and just say, it passes.
Oh my God. Oh, great.
So what else are we going to talk about, dudes?
No, I think this is an amazing first episode for us to come out of the gates with, just showing our own personal feelings for this wonderful game that we have the opportunity to, just internally play for ourselves. I think that's, the main reason why we're there. We just have the opportunity also to share it with other people. So I'm not playing it for the next guy. I'm playing it for me. I just have the opportunity to show the next guy. And so we hope that everyone that's listening to this subscribes to Legends of the Tabletop, watches our campaign, comments on what they love about our characters and what they love about our DM, who is amazing and just gives us such a great platform in a world to be creative in. You guys have anything you guys want to add before we close?
No, I'd say sound off in the comments about what you think about the dice, anything we've said, anything you agree with.
Your favorite dice maker.
Mm-hmm. Any
your
recommendations?
Favorite dice tray to use.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
How your setup at home looks. How your table organization is. Do you use paper? Did you go electronic yet?
Don't do it.
Social security, name, phone
Yes,
address.
yes.
You know,
Make sure to
obviously.
send them directly to
money. This is expensive. This is expensive. This isn't more than
Hey, this equipment doesn't buy itself.
Exactly. Yeah, no, just absolutely visit us at Legends of the Tabletop on Instagram and YouTube. And as Jonathan said, remember to like, subscribe, share, sound off in the comments, and let us know if there's any other topics you'd like us to discuss. This is one of many podcasts that we'll be doing as the Parking Lot. Legends of the Tabletop.
All right. Peace out, cheese bags.
Stay fresh, cheese bags.
Hi, Joe.
Hi, Joe.
Hi, Joe.